Wire transfer fraud. Yeah, that'll never happen to me. That's what too many business owners and business leaders think, and it's exactly what cyber criminals want you to think. In this video, we're going to talk about what wire transfer fraud is, how to prevent it, and how cyber insurance can help remediate claims should they occur. Coming right up. All right, let's start with answering the question, what is wire transfer fraud? Wire transfer fraud is when a cyber criminal or scammer tricks you or a member of your firm into transferring funds to them by posing as a vendor or client of yours. These scams usually take place over email and are never verified by the business owner or decision maker. Here's a common example we have seen several times. The CFO, the bookkeeper, or the company accountant gets an email that appears to be from one of the company's established vendors. The email address looks legit and it asks to please change the account number information when they make their next wire transfer and payment of a goods or service. It could be at the same bank or at a new bank, and we have seen this scam to be highly specific where the scammer tells the bookkeeper the specific invoice number and amount due for their next wire payment, further legitimizing the email. How does the scammer know all that info? Well, they may have infiltrated the email system of the company or the vendor's email system, and they've been watching the email traffic back and forth, so they're able to use the exact invoice numbers and amounts due. And like I said, it only further reinforces this ruse. And there are other scams, like the president of the company emailing the CFO to wire funds to them urgently so he or she can execute an M&A transaction before the deal falls through, when in fact the president hasn't requested any funds and there's no deal on the table. Unfortunately, the funds are transferred into a fraudulent account and they're gone. What's your bank's responsibility in situations like these? Unfortunately, your bank has no responsibility in these scams because you or a member of your firm has voluntarily parted with the money. Yup, it's a scam, but no one put a gun to their head demanding the money. They voluntarily sent money to a third party without verifying the authenticity of that third party, so that's entirely on you and not your financial institution. Are fraudulent funds recoverable? In most cases that I'm aware of or that we've dealt with, once the funds are wired into the fraudulent account, that account is closed and the funds are gone for good. So, what's the solution? How do you manage this risk? Well, it's really not that difficult, but you need to have controls in place. And a control is nothing more than a written procedure that isn't deviated from for any reason. So what do we recommend as a written control? Before exchanging account numbers or amending or changing account numbers with any vendor, a phone call must be made to that vendor or other party you're doing business with to authenticate them. A first step, though, is to authenticate that the phone number is actually correct and it is the number for the party you're doing business with. As a backup safety step, have another person in your company cross-verify the information as well and perform the authentication a second time. Special note, when you have wire requests from a foreign vendor, really scrutinize the request as these carry higher risks than domestic vendors. If there's an urgent request from someone within your firm to wire funds to, a few simple steps help control this risk. First, verify the email address of the sender that's requesting the wire. For example, the president of the firm has an urgent need for funds. Carefully look at the email address. Hackers will often replicate a URL or email address by replacing a letter or a digit. For example, lsmith@smithandcompany.com could become something like onesmith@smithandcompany.com or onesmith@smithandcompany.com or smithandcompany.net or any number of different variations. Second step, call the originator of the request, for example, the president, and do not execute the wire until confirmed by phone or in person. While verifying the authenticity of the sender, also verify the account numbers. Hackers and scammers and posers are relying on the fact that everyone is busy and wants to accommodate the instructions of an executive or company owner, so don't fall victim to these ploys. How does insurance come into play on these scams? Most cyber insurance policies include coverage for wire transfer fraud, but limits this coverage to $250,000 in most policies. Something you need to know is that almost all insurers require a secondary authentication procedure, as I just mentioned. If you fail to follow that procedure and you fall victim to wire transfer fraud, the claim may be denied. So it's critical to have a control and follow it, always. Wire transfer fraud is also available on a commercial crime policy. It can be usually purchased at higher limits than a cyber policy. But again, underwriters are really honing in on controls before offering high limit protection from wire transfer fraud. Here's the bottom line. Wire transfer frauds and schemes are widespread. It's the fastest and easiest way for cyber criminals to score huge sums of money from unsuspecting businesses. Don't fall victim to it. Set up a control, educate your employees, talk about it often, as you should with other cyber risks like phishing, and continue to reinforce the need to control the risk company-wide. Have other questions on cyber risk or cyber insurance that I didn't cover here? Give me a call, drop me an email. In fact, all my contact info is in the description box below, and there's a link to my calendar there, so if you want to set up a call, let's do it. Thanks for watching, and hey, can you do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button? Thanks.